Hey folks, welcome back to the Hoard. I figured I'd try something different. You guys get to see the Cushman all the time, and you even get to see the Cushman now. Take a quick look here. You can see my battery isn't fully charged. It is 10:23 in the morning, 20.0 degrees Celsius, 63% humidity. I just opened up the door a couple of minutes ago. It is 8:30. That's August 30th, Sunday, 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, I had an interesting experience. I was over to a hoarder's place. I don't mean my place. I mean another hoarder's place. And while I'm telling the story, we could take a quick look around my own hoard. This guy moved into the area about 40 years ago. So his hoard was about 40 years old. He had just recently died. So I guess the name of this video should be the death of a hoarder. Anyway, he had an amazing amount of stuff. He makes me look like nothing. Picture a 36 by 48 garage, packed, and I mean up in the ceiling, also packed. Car stuff, a lot of car stuff. Old Studebakers, Fords. He liked the Fords from the 50s. Cushmans. He had 4 Cushmans, and that's the reason why I was there, by the way, but we'll talk about the Cushmans in a minute. Just an crazy amazing amount of stuff. Studebaker Hawks, station wagon, Studebaker pickup truck. He had a Ford pickup truck. It was a older one, 91, I think. It was the square style, but only 22,000 miles on it. 4-wheel drive, beautiful and waxed up. I mean, real pretty. All garage kept stuff. I mean, just a crazy amount of stuff. I mean, look at this. Anyway, he did what we're all going to do one day. He died. Passed on. He, I don't know if he was a smoker or not. I guess he had heart trouble for quite a while. He was 72, 73, 74. But according to my buddy who knows him and got me there for the Cushman Deal, he actually had lung problems. According to my buddy, he was on 100% oxygen, and still his lungs couldn't keep his blood oxygenated. So I guess that's what got him, the lack of his body's ability to process, to bring oxygen into the blood. And my buddy said lungs, but my buddy, much like myself, is not a doctor, nor does he play one on TV. So yeah, he had once again, the big garage I told you about, 36 by 48. He had a smaller garage that was a 24 by 24, like this one, except it was a taller build, and he had a attic that you can walk around in. He also had a pole barn that was 24 by 48. I mean, the pole barn was just huge, right? Then he had a smaller garage, I don't know, 16 by 24. And then he had one of those metal things that you cover stuff with. And it was tall, and he had that set up with a lift underneath it and a tire changing station. I mean, he had, it was amazing. What he would do is, if he wanted to paint, he'd use the 24 by 24, and he had rings in the ceiling for setting up his own little paint shop. I wonder if, as time passed, from the painting and, considering his age, right? A lot of people smoked back in that day. I'm wondering if that isn't partly what got him. A lot of times people say, well, the lungs gave out. Your heart and lungs, obviously, if they're all not working together, they're not working. Just looking at the apples, I'm not seeing a lot of chewed up apples, which is a little bothersome to me. That means the deer really aren't around. Right, there was a time where there would be flocks of deer back here eating on those apples. Let's talk about the Cushman deal. The guy had 4 Cushmans. 2 of them had 4 wheels. One of them had a hydraulic box. I mean, the little lever on the side that actually controlled hydraulics through a pump. They were in, I'm going to say, okay condition. 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10 between the 2 of them. And then he had 2 more 3-wheel Cushmans. One of them was much older, and supposedly it was at the World's Fair. I'm going to say supposedly because it wasn't painted up. This Cushman was specially built by, Cushman Motors in Wisconsin to go to the World's Fair, right? So given that it didn't say that, it's really kind of hard to be sure where if it had been or not. Anyway, what he was after was, or what she was after, and he told her before he passed that he wanted $1,000 for the 4 of them. Well, buying Cushmans for $250 each is really interesting, and quite honestly, the World's Fair one was complete. Did not have the gear reduction steering on it. It just had handlebars, so you would actually have to fight the steering around yourself, though it looked a little lighter than the others. None of these things at the moment were running, and only one of them, well, the World's Fair Cushman and the Cushman without the hydraulic dump, the 4-wheeler, those 2 had carburetors. The other ones did not have carburetors. They all had the spark advance. One of them had the engine out. This kind of stuff is always hard. I mean, my tendency, not that $1,000 is pennies, but my tendency would be to buy them. But as I'm walking you about, I'm thinking you're probably noticing what I'm noticing, that I am bloody well out of space. I can't fake. I'm going to have trouble faking enough space to put another one of these Baja Warriors away. Forget about putting 4 Cushman away. And if I buy a World's Fair Cushman, let's say I look it over and I do find it says, specifically for the World's Fair on it somewhere, right? Then the temptation is to get it. By the way, that was the World's Fair down in Flushing Meadows in 1964. So the temptation would be, to put one's hot little hands on it. But then what am I going to do with it? If I can't store it properly, right, it's going to very quickly turn to crap, like a lot of my other stuff is turning into. And I hate to say it, like a lot of the stuff he had, his place, he did have some cars under a pole barn that looked like it was the next snowstorm away from collapsing and destroying everything in it. But he did have cars in his pole barn. But he also had a corral full of cars. And not all the cars had all the glass in them. Some of them were missing side glass. Some of them were missing back glass. Some of them were missing windshields. Well, a car without a windshield, you're dumping all that water into the firewall, into the radio, the electronics, the speedometer, the steering assembly. Some of it goes forward, some of it goes backwards. You end up filling, the floor up with water, then the floor rots out. A lot of the cars had sunk into the ground, right? So once they sink into the ground, then they're just rotting. Because the moisture of the ground seeps into them every night, right? So he had a lot of interesting stuff, a lot of wonderful stuff, a lot of stuff I'd love to get my hot little hands on. But unfortunately, a lot of it was crap. I mean, when he got it all those years ago, it was great stuff. But, just from deteriorating, just from sitting around, a lot of it, unfortunately, was turning into crap. And the thing was, his wife wasn't really giving it away. For those 4 Cushman, I mean, a steal of a deal would have been $500. At $1,000, that's I didn't know the condition of the engine, so the engines were somewhat of a pig in a poke. The frames looked okay, the rear ends looked okay. I saw 2 carburetors. The World's Fair one had a carburetor and the other one had a carburetor, which means you got 2 without carburetors. Those carburetors are hard to get. Let's say out of the 4 of them, you could get 2 running Cushman. Around me, Cushmans go, they're, $500 to $1,000. So you're basically getting 2 complete Cushmans and a lot of parts. Once again, the World's Fair Cushman didn't have the same engine as the other ones did, and I don't know if one could easily smash, so I don't know if the World's Fair one had a good engine in it. Didn't look too beat up. It looked pretty good. This is the problem you run into. For $500, it would have been very interesting, because for $500, worst comes to worst. You could sell a few parts. Maybe you only get 1 out of the 4 of them running. You sell a few parts. At $500, you're not in too bad a shape, right? You're alive. At $1,000, you really, you got to put work into them, right? It's not like you're driving away 2 running Cushman at $1,000. You're buying 2 Cushmans that don't run. Or you're buying 4 Cushmans that don't run, hoping to create 2 good ones out of the 4. So, I guess, why am I making this video? I guess 2 things. First of all, I'm convincing myself to pass up on the deal, because I literally, even to put them outside and cover them with canvas, I don't even have, if I say, I'm going to put the 4 of them back here, right up on the deck, that first of all, I don't think they'd fit, maybe, and secondly, they wouldn't fit. That's not that big, that patch. Secondly, they're not going to keep, right? If I live to be 100 years old and I really do retire in January, like looks like is becoming the plan, I got more projects than I could do in a lifetime now. I guess the theory could be, well, take a Cushman and ship it to my son's. Well, I can ship one of the meter-made Cushmans to my son's house, right? I still got all that crap out there to put away. I don't know, am I showing it to you or not? I'm showing you the back of the truck. I think I'm showing you that stuff out there. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, the camera's still doing the upside down thing. Anyway, so a rambling 15-minute video about one of us hoarders passing on. It is sad. I mean, his wife loved the heck out of him. His dog loved him. He had a little dog his wife had with her that really loved the heck out of him. But something I guess we all got to get used to is the idea that our day will come. It comes for everybody. Nobody gets out of here alive, you know, except our Savior, right? And the guy, he rose from the dead. Yeah, the rest of us, when we go, we go. We're not coming back here to play with our toys. All right, folks, I want to thank you all for watching and commenting and subscribing. Remember to keep your feet down, keep your head up. Remember to enjoy all your days, right? Enjoy your toys while you're here and you can, because unfortunately we will be joining Charlie's friend. Guys, live, love, and enjoy. Thanks for watching, commenting, and subscribing. Bye now.